Mateo, owner of the property 313-315 Valley Road, corner right before Yost Trucking. I had the pleasure of talking to the board back in, the 6th of July about flooding issues at all the watershed from all the development upstream, which I understand is going to be more roads, more sidewalks, and more driveways that will shed water into the Burnside Road stream. Had the ability or the opportunity to meet with Mr. Seitz later on that week in July, walked him through the issues, had the unfortunate event September 1st of having additional flooding. That creek that spills over its banks routinely. I have some awesome video if anybody would like to see. I was wondering, after that meeting with Mr. Seitz, if there was any further discussion with the board, and he said that he was going to take it back. There were some ideas that he had kicked around, and then I understand this overall housing plan with more roads, more sidewalks, and more driveways is going to put, yet again, as I said, more water into that creek, which doesn't impact pretty much anybody other than our property.
Overlook is done. I mean, there's no additional roadways or sidewalks or anything being added in the overlook. So I'm not.
There's different phases.
That plan is filled out.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no additional, no problem, there's no additional. We accepted roads that were already built,
Okay.
but there's no additional roadways being built there, just for clarification. As far as I understand it, Dan, if you want to jump in at any point, it is still a private property issue, correct?
Yes, yeah, I mean, we met with Mr. DiMatteo, right?
Yeah.
Your dog's son.
Correct.
It's been a long time. I mean, your property down there, I know your property pretty well, it's low-lying.
It is.
And it is at the confluence of both the stream that comes from Burnside and with
Little brush run, whatever.
Brush Run, yes, thank you. The two streams confluence together. I mean, we have had record-setting precedent rains that are unfortunate. The property like yours is affected the most because it's low-lying. And I apologize, Joe did take some notes and get it in front of me, and I did not get it back to the board yet. I think that, if I recall, there were some things that needed to be cleaned out along there to kind of improve the capacity a little bit, to get the water to the creek.
Yeah, so right after our property is Yost Trucking.
Yes.
And that is piped with a 3.5-foot round pipe.
Right.
Which is the bottleneck. So it flows underneath our bridge really, really well. The bottleneck is the 3.5-foot round pipe that used to handle that stream very well.
Right.
Is that pipe on Yost property?
It's a private pipe. We don't maintain that pipe.
Yeah.
So,
It runs the length of his property, so his heavy machinery and trucks can go over that, and he uses the rest of the filled-in piped creek area as parking.
So unfortunately, as a board, though, we have no ability to force him to pay on his pipe. That would be, you would have to take some sort of action. If you believe that's where the bottleneck is and that's what's causing the flooding, then you would have to take some sort of action against him or have some sort of conversation to ask whoever owns yours to clean that out. We as a board can't force him to do that.
And to the best of my knowledge, it's not a fact that it's clogged, it's the fact that it's just overwhelmed with all the upstream flow and all the watershed that came off there. So when I spoke with Joe, he was going to go back and over the total watershed that came into the creek. Because prior to all of the development up Burnside, that property never flooded.
yeah, and I'll just answer that with the fact that all of the new development that has occurred has holding ponds in place to hold back their additional water. There's, again, it's this record-setting precedent rains. I mean, in an area where, like, I don't know what we do at those locations that are, we can't change the elevations of the land. And I mean, even if the pipe was, if you opened up and pulled that pipe out of there from Yost, you still would probably get flooding because the creeks are gonna back up from Brush Run. I mean, we're just seeing those type of rainfall events, and again, I'm not, again, let me get a look at the notes that Joe had, maybe I can give you some guidance.
That would be
If
great.
there's something that can be done, but I don't think it's a township issue, I think it's a private, what Cindy's pointing out, and I agree with her, it's a private matter.
And just to address your point about if they opened up the flow through the Yost pipe, the other creek would flow, or would still back up. When the water does make it to the road, and I have video of it, the water flows really well when it's on the road into the larger Brush Run, the steel braided bridge that spans that. So it flows on both sides, and it flows really well, but it's bottlenecked right there at the property line.
I did like to, so when you were here in July, we did research, and we do have documented proof that flooding has been a problem there before, prior to the overlook. So, like, I don't think that this is a new problem that has just come up as directly related to the overlook or any sort of development that's come in that area. But I would just encourage you to work with Dan to try to figure out what the best solution is. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything that we can do to force it.
And this was, you mentioned that research that for prior flooding, is that something that Cheryl,
I'm sure, yeah, you're good. Yeah, I mean,
I've looked at, have a.
sure, I mean,
there's no fact, I've personally witnessed flooding at that property over the 25 years that I've been here, so it's not like
right.
it's just happened in the last 5.
No, and I'm not blaming it purely on the overall property, it's all the development that has happened up there. And yeah, that's mine. I don't have the hard and fast data on that,
Right.
but it's, all the development that's happened, the flooding happens more routinely.
Yeah, just one question though, he calls it a bottleneck by the Yost pipe. Is it a bottleneck that creates just strictly a surcharge upstream, or does he also have consequences like it blowing over top and damaging his own property? Do you know that?
I think it has a difficulty getting into the pipe, because there's not enough capacity in the pipe that goes under Yost property, and therefore it backs up on yours. You haven't had any water in your house, or any?
No, yeah, there's definitely been water in the basement of that rental property.
The rental property that's closest to there, not up to, your father's house was up high, much higher.
That's a separate issue, and that was, I guess, the sewer authority, the sewers that are supposed to be sealed have significant infiltration. I have a meeting with the sewer authority in this project, so for the sewer authority as well. But yes, then you're talking about Brush Run Creek in the back of the house, when it comes through Lucian's bridge tunnel. Fortunately, he and Falcone both have restrictors on that flow. That helps us out a little bit, but there's a curve in the creek, and it just plows right through the curve in the creek, and it comes into the backyards of all of those houses down there, which overwhelms sewer, and we have had flooding from there as well.
Okay.
He'd probably get more from Graziani too, wouldn't he?
From the watershed.
Pardon me?
From the watershed?
Yeah.
Graziani's?
Rosewood Plan and all.
No,
I don't think so.
no, I don't think Graziani.
I think he's probably not.
I don't know how far his property
Yeah,
is. The development is, but, yeah,
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
that'd be awesome. I'll give you. Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. If there's no more comments or questions from residents, I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 8:54.